Okay, hi again and welcome to the second video about combination knitting. The first was more of theory, I would say. In this video I will show you combination knitting and the two different ways you can variate your knit or purl stitches that can actually change the stitch construction. And I will work in flat here, stockinette, because that's the point of combination knitting, I think. Do you recognize this? You, for example, knit a cardigan and you start top down, you work back and forth, flat, and you work stockinette. And when you are knitting the sleeves, you work in the round, and then you only use knits, and then the fabric gets denser. That's the situation for me. So when I work combination knitting, the combination knitting is getting a little bit denser and more even. So it's more similar to knitting in the round for me. Okay, but I will not talk more. I will show you. And I will probably call this different styles, Western and Eastern, because it's easier that way. So what's the two different pairs of choices you can make when you work a stitch? Well, the most important choice is if you work in the leading leg or not in the leading leg, which is normally described as knitting in the front or knitting in the back loop. But it's not exactly the same thing always. So let's see here. Here we have a Western. We knit here on a row that we have purled Western. So we knit in the front loop and also we wrap the yarn like that. I will come into that, that's the second choice. And why is this stitch not going to be twisted? Well, it's because you knit in the leading leg. And here, if we knit Western, the leading leg is the front loop. It's the same thing. And the leading leg is the loop that is going to the stitch that you just have knitted. You see here, it's a little bit also, normally people describe it as this or this. I think it's more difficult. I think it's easier to just pull it a little bit. And you see that this thread is actually going to the stitch. Okay, so the most important choice when you work a stitch is if you work in the leading leg or not. And for Western knitting, leading leg is always the front loop. So let's see what happens if we make half of these purl stitches in a Western style and a half of the purl stitches with an Eastern style. Let's start with the purl stitch, because here is the other choice you can make. We still work in the front loop here. Okay, the first is not like this. This is the leading leg, so it's not going to be twisted, but we work the yarn clockwise, and that is easiest to see if you look at this. So it's going around like that. Oops. So clockwise, clockwise, clockwise. So this is an Eastern purl. And now let's make some Western purls. It's much more difficult, I think. Why have I worked purls like this my whole life? Okay, then we come here to this side, the right side. The leading leg here will be the front loop. We see it here. Yes. 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 Let's see here. Yes. Let's see here. see here. No. Now the leading leg is here. And why is the leading leg in the back here? These stitches will not be twisted even if we work in the back. That's because the second choice of wrapping the yarn clockwise or counterwise is setting the stage for next row. So if you work the yarn clockwise, the leading leg will be in the back. It will not be the front loop. So combination knitting is simply working only Eastern purls, and then we will get the leading leg in the back, which we will work in a Western style. Why is it Western style? Because we wrap the yarn counterclockwise, but we knit them in the back loop, and they will not get twisted because we knit in the leading leg. So Eastern purls, Western knits, but knit them in the back because it's the leading leg. See? So the two choices, the two pairs of choices is knit in the leading leg or not, which is usually described by knitting in the back or front loop, but as you see, it's not always true. If you don't knit in the leading leg, the stitch will be twisted, and that's really, I mean, that's beautiful sometimes. But if you don't know that, if you didn't know that you actually are doing Eastern purls, then it would be problematic if you read the pattern and it says knit or knitting in the back to get a twisted stitch. So look at your how your stitches look like. If you have the leading leg in the back, you're probably wrapping the yarn clockwise. And this is a combination of making Eastern purls, knit in the front loop, but wrap the yarn clockwise. So knitting a front loop and wrap the yarn clockwise. And purl, sorry, and knit Western style on the right side, but knit them in the back loop. And wrap the yarn counterclockwise as you normally do when you make knits as in a Western style. Okay, this was it, I think. I hope it was useful in some way, and I hope you understood what I was trying to describe for you. Please let me know. Good luck.